Hi, this is Nick with Zamora Woodworking. Today I was going to go over some dust collection tips and tricks for beginners. If you could, like, share, subscribe. If you do end up subscribing, once we get up to 1,000, we just passed 500. Thank you guys very much. Going to give away one of these Jenny bits here. I use them and love them, and as long as you're subscribed, you're automatically entered, and I'll send it out, my own money, not sponsor or anything else. But today I just wanted to go over the basics and show you guys kind of what I've gathered from my knowledge here and gathering the YouTube space and looking around. This isn't going to be completely comprehensive, but it'll get at least the beginners on the right track and thinking about what they need to do for dust collection. So without any further ado, we'll hit it. Starting off, there's two main sizes of dust collection in general. You have your 2-inch, 2.5, 2.25, whatever, shop vac hose like this, around 2-inch. And then you have your 4-inch stuff, and this is for an actual dust collector. They both kind of do the same thing, but different in their own ways. A lot of people like shop vacs, a lot of people like dust collectors. I have both. Since this is down in my basement and a lot of other things I'll get to in a second, I use a shop vac. But this is the type of hose you can use, and then with shop vac or with dust collectors, you can also use 4-inch PVC connected into that. Go through, they make metal, they make anything you ever want, they'll sell it to you. Now with your 2-inch, it's not exactly standardized. You'll notice with different tools, it'll be a 2-inch, a 2.25, 2.5. It'll get necked down, not exactly perfect. Different connectors won't fit. It seems like every tool manufacturer just went, okay, 2-inch inside diameter, 2-inch outside, 2.5, 2.25. They just were picking and choosing, and none of them seem to match up that great. What I've found is nice is I print out a lot of these little guys here, and I have a mating connector that I make for every tool that I've got. So they just fit together. I don't even have to worry about it anymore. For my belt sander, made this guy here. This goes into the belt sander here. And then this guy here is keyed. This also goes into that, but I just have this guy sitting in there. They fit together like so, and the suction holds them in. I mean, it's not the absolute perfect seal, but they hold together. I don't have to worry about it falling off or anything like that. When the vac is on, it's not really coming off now, but even then it won't come off. So I make a lot of these, just print them out. Just a mating connector for this guy. And then I have it keyed there. I have little magnets to hold it, and I'll put magnets on this one. I haven't installed my magnets on yet. But yeah, they just fit together like so. I made quite a few of those. For around the shop area to clean up, use this guy. Obviously I made sure this can reach all around the table. Isn't gonna get bound up. It'll fit on my little collector here. I'll show you in a second. But I got this other section of hose that I bought on Amazon. It's a 25-foot roll, and I cut it off of this guy here. I have my little adapter there. So put these two together. They hold together, and I can clean up different areas of my shop. When I'm not using it, pops off real easy, and it holds together just enough. You know, especially once it turns on, it sucks together. But then I can reach different areas around the shop. I'll probably install a Y up there and put a little blast gate. But for right now, this has worked enough because really I only do one thing at a time in here. In my shed, I might do more, but there I got the 4-inch, so I can split that into 2 4s. With your 2.5, whatever it comes out of your shop vac as, if it's 2, 2.25, 2.5, it's already necked down there. You're not going to gain much by making it bigger if you put a 4-inch hose on it or something like that. I personally like the 2.5-inch hose like this. It seems to work really nicely. Whatever you do, do not use that crappy plastic, black plastic hose. I got some of this crappy black plastic hose, and if I ever do use this, I use this on my actual little shop vac Cyclone. I'll show you here in a second. The problem with this is it starts to make harmonics in it. It's kind of like a little kid blowing on those straws you get at like Six Flags or something like that. It will just hurt your ears. I've seen people get flathead screwdrivers and score this, not go through it, but make a ridge on it to stop it. It works to some degree, but this stuff is kind of crap. Do not like it. I don't use it. I do use this stuff here whenever it gets stopped. The problem that I don't like about it is it'll suck itself together and kind of jump. So that you got to kind of deal with that. Just make sure you never set it against here like this or get it too clogged. But I really do like this. It has metal going through it. And then as long as you connect the metal all the way back to your some sort of a grounding point, you won't build up static electricity. So that really helps you. What you can use with this is I've used 2-inch PVC, which I'll show you here in a second, to run back to my shop vac that I have in the other room with a dust collector. And or dust separator, I should say. And it separates the dust, puts it in a bin for me so I don't fill up my shop vac. Those are super nice. Whenever you do transition into PVC, turn off the lights here for a second. So whenever you do transition into PVC, I just have it taped right here. There's a flat section pipe coming out of this. You need to make sure that you use 45s. If you don't and you use a 90, it really restricts the air. There are videos on this that I'll reference throughout this video, and hopefully I'll put in the link in the description below. This guy did tons of calculations on it and found how much, I mean, using a 45 versus a 90, it's ridiculous how much it actually affects it. So most of mine are put up with 45s like this, 2 45s to create your 90, so it's a gradual change instead of just going straight up and going over. When people hook up multiple machines, the good thing to do is get those 45s that come off here with the straight pipe. Assuming your dust collector is this way, it will make a gradual, it'll bring it into the flow, a lot more gradual, and it's really nice so that you don't lose a ton of suction, because like say yours was going this way, but your dust collector's over here, you know, your air has to go this way and then turn back around, plus bring stuff with it. It doesn't work out that well. You want to give it the smoothest path possible to get to your dust collector that you possibly can. Also, with that being said, say I had multiple trunks coming down, you want to put in what they call blast gates that shut off the flow as close to the beginning of that pipe as possible. You don't want to, so say I had an area coming down here, and then with this one, you don't want to put the blast gate, and say this was another 20 feet, you don't want to put the blast gate way down here when you can put it right here and shut off this trunk. You know, say it was coming down to here, and then you just open up the blast gate. I'll hopefully overlay a photo of a blast gate. I got them up in my shop, but I don't have any down here, and they're still packed away. But blast gates can be really nice. I really haven't seen them for 2.5 inch, but I imagine somebody makes them. You can find anything anywhere if you really want them. But I hook this up singly. PVC is really nice. What you want to do too is if you are running long stretches, use as much straight pipe as possible. This corrugated stuff is nice because you can get into different areas, but the turbulence that it creates cuts down on your flow like no other. The guy that I'm talking about in that video, I'll find it and link it. He did the calculations, and I think it was like 4 times the restrictiveness of straight pipe like this. They make PVC, they make metal, they make anything you want to buy. Depending on your budget and everything else, you can buy any of those things and get it done any which way. For what I do, I just use PVC, and then what I also do is on the inside, you cut down on the corners. Use a little coping tool or something like that and cut down on the corners, make them kind of smooth. But since these things are sucking down and you're not blowing out pressure, most of these you can just push together with your hands or use blue tape together. You don't need to go too crazy and glue them together. You're not going to add much to it, and since it's sucking it together, it's trying to hold it together. Now with all that being said, I primarily use a 2.5 inch dust line. I don't want to bring my entire dust collector down here. I'd rather just use a shop vac. For what I do here, it works fine. I've found with more faster moving chips than that, I have better luck with my shop vac than with a dust collector. But if you have everything already running in your shop on a dust collector, well then you may as well use that. Our shop vacs are much louder, but that doesn't bother me too much. I just have it in another room aiming out that way, so I don't hear it anyways. I found with these ones I've had a lot faster airflow, but you're obviously not going to have a ton. Think about a big old river only has to move like 1 foot to do what a stream does while it's raging down and going. So a stream has to move super, super fast to even come close to what a river just barely going down can do. I do like my shop vac for things around the house, and then also for my CNC. I know a lot of the higher end big old models, they only come with 4-inch dust ports, and I think they bring out big old chips and they bring out a ton. With this guy, I don't bring out a ton of chips at once so fast that this guy can't keep up with it. And I find with these, the speed at which it's flinging them out, this is really good at grabbing them. I have not used a 4-inch dust hose on this, but just thinking about manhandling a 4-inch dust hose out front, because the other thing that I like to mention is, so with a 4-inch dust hose, the only setups that I've seen with this is out front. So with it being out front, you got a 4-inch big ass hose right here that you gotta move around and, you know, fight. It's definitely gonna do the job, absolutely, no questions asked, but I can't see what the hell's going on when all that's going on. Plus then I gotta move this out of the way every time, then move my bit, then bring it back in, clip it in somehow. I know there's plenty of systems out there and people absolutely love them. For this system, if I ever upgrade to a bigger CNC, I'll probably be stuck with a 4-inch. But for right now, I can get away with a 2.5-inch. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna touch that. The other thing that I really do like, so I have used the 4-inch Suck-It dust boot. It works great. Eventually you will end up cracking these guys. They have the file for these online because, believe it or not, you got a CNC, you can cut these things out. You just get some Lexan or whatever brand it is. People talk about it in the comments. But you just cut it out and they have the exact measurements for it and you put a new one in. What's funny is once I cut out a new one, I never needed another one. I just put some tape where the stresses are because these things seem to not really like stress. With your 2.5-inch right here, you just put it in right there, put in your hose adapter, and you're off to the races. I like this. I have my other arms here somewhere. But the problem I've found with this is that, you know, I can't see my bit, especially if I'm taking video here and showing you guys. When this bit goes down, it's kind of hidden. There's a big old hose here. Well, not a 4-inch, but 2.5-inch hose. I got to support it, so when my router is going up and down, it's kind of in the way unless I build a support off of this to support it. And then when I don't need it, it's kind of over here, and it's just, I found it to be a kind of a pain in the ass. The boot itself, nothing wrong with it. It's worked just fine for me. I think if you guys ever try it, you'll love it. What I ended up using is this guy here, and this is made by Suck-It. On Thingiverse, they have free files for it to print it out yourself. Do be warned, if you do print it out yourself, you need to have your own bolts, your screws, nuts, magnets, and a lot of time on your hands because it does take a while to print. I printed this one out myself. All but this piece right here was printed. Obviously the bristles weren't. But this piece right here, I made this to adapt to it. And the nice thing that I like about the Suck-It dust boot is you can see everything and it comes from behind here. So whenever I have this all hooked up, you know, when the bit comes down, I can watch the whole thing, or if I get tired of watching it, just put that on there, and it's magnetically bound, and it's got indexing rods here to hold it in place. And they have different sizes of these guys that you can cut out or buy. So with the Suck-It brand, I don't know a ton about them. I do know that they sell these, but they also have, which I'm just amazed with them, is they put the plans online, the parts, on Thingiverse, which I'll link to below, and you can print it out yourself. You don't save a ton of money because you know you have to buy the hardware and you're not going to buy in bulk like they do, and you're not exactly supporting them, so that part kind of sucks. But you can print it out on your own. I'd suggest probably just buying from them. I think they got a little bit of a lead time, but it's not too bad. You can print this off or buy it. Like I said, I'd try buying it if I were you. And then this guy here, this is the way I've got it set up. And then they have these extenders here which I printed out. And then this guy here is the 90-degree extender. This that I'm covering up, I designed and printed myself, and then just potted it in with some epoxy. It just slips over the top. I didn't want to slide it inside, which would have been better as far as fitment and removal, but it would have been worse because then you're necking down where you're sucking at, and you don't want to create more restriction than you need to. So I did all that. I'll link all these parts in the description below. This guy here is pretty nice. I do like their design. This is the version 3, I believe. And see, it's got the ribs in there, and this kind of fits into there. And it's just a pressure fit like that. And I mean, it is not coming out of there. Put that guy back on there. This guy back on there. So both the extensions, and then the 90. So the reason why I like this guy is I made it like this. I can add it back here and I get pretty good range of motion. Now I'll bring you guys in. If you look right here, see that's your max space that you can bring this guy up and still have dust collection going. That is the big downside to having rear dust collection, is I can't bring that up any higher. So my max material I can put through here is from the surface bed up to here, unless I raise my Z gantry to its other spot. So right now I have my screws in the middle hole right here. I can go up higher, but I found for almost everything this just works just fine. And if I find somewhere where I do need this extra space, I can always put my suck-it dust boot on the front, but I try to use this one as much as possible. I just really, really like it. With a 4-inch dust boot, realize that either you're going to neck it down to being this small if you want to do rear. If you want to do front, it's easy. But if you want to do rear, somehow you got to fit this guy below there, below this. I mean, obviously that isn't going to fit right where it's at. Or you got to make it so wide to actually encapsulate, like actually use all of what it can suck down, or else you're completely wasting it and you're going to be starving your dust collector. So I have not seen 4-inch from behind dust collection. So that's another reason why I stick with a 2.5 inch, is because the 4, I mean, it would be really wasted and extremely inefficient if it was like this. Unless it went straight down and kind of just, it would just have to be kind of half-assed. Unless I see a different design that changed my mind, I haven't seen anything that's really impressed me from going from behind like that. And then I'll show you guys on this other side, I also printed out and designed this back piece here, which makes it really, really convenient to use this dust collection method. I'll bring you around now. Like I showed you before, I printed out all of this and then I designed this guy here. So the way I designed this is you could fit a 2-inch PVC in here. That's why it's kind of a bit bigger than it really needs to be. And then, because I didn't know how I wanted to go along with this, but I decided not to just use 2-inch PVC because I figured, then I don't have to print all of this. But I also realized, oh shit, well depending on how you move your boot up here, you're going to need this to adapt to it. Well, with 2-inch PVC, I didn't want to have to print something to go on top of it, and then I didn't want it to spin around. So I designed and printed this guy here that's indexed and won't spin around on me, and it holds its shape really nicely. And holds its suction too. So whenever I put this in there, push this guy up. All right, so the front's all set. Say I'm set for my material here. I can pull this guy down, have it fit in there, and then look from the side, make sure that everything's kind of level, and I'm off to the races, good to go. And it also supports up here, if you look up here, it supports the cable management I have. So this design up here, I will be putting on Etsy. It'll include this big part here, which I was able to print on my Ender 3 V2. I had to move it around quite a bit to get it just to fit right. I embedded magnets up here. Do not use a soldering iron to embed these magnets. If you do, you're not going to be happy with it. These magnets, if you do use a soldering iron, they lose their magnetism. But anyways, I put a little bit of blue tape here just to get the fit on this a little bit better. It was a little loose, but the suction around here, I've barely felt anything. And then with my dust hose, use this guy here. It's got magnets in it. It just sets right in there. So it's completely out of the way of my wires. It's free of everything else. Whenever I'm done cutting, just pop this guy off, clean up what I need all around here, set it right back in, or if I just want the hose out, you just pull that guy right out of there. It's super, super easy. And it has the fixture for this. It comes all the way back with your 2 bolt holes. And I ended up putting in a fatter wire, so the other side of this slot is not big enough to fit this fatter wire, so I just zip tied it over here. But I never really cared about that. With the thinner wire that normally comes with your Z power or your Z cable here, it fits just fine underneath there. I just ran a zip tie through it. This was my solution to have a rear dust collection, being able to see everything, make it look nice and clean, and have cable management all at one time, because I wanted to be able to see the bits. I don't mind using just a shop vac. I think for this setup, for this size machine, it is the way to go. But yeah, this worked out really, really nice. And I have a little bit of extra hose on there now because this hose I used to just have it down here and support it up here, and then when I added all this in, I haven't cut it back yet. But I also haven't found that it binds, because once you turn on the shop vac, this sucks up a bit, and I've had no problem so far with it. But if you look, I'll take you down the side here and let you see. So yeah, if you look right here, you got to make sure that you stay clear of these channels here. You give support to this raceway right there, and yeah, I can go up and down there. This is all sealed. You could always put sealant around there, but since it's such a tight fit already, and I want it to be removable, I did not do that. But the plans that will include this guy here, it will include this, it will include this part that's indexed in here, and this I'll put up on the Etsy store if you guys are interested. The only thing that I don't know is people's tolerances on their printers and how well they can print. So do realize you're going to be printing this at your own risk. Please let me know how well it works. I have not used the stock parts from Suckit. I've used what they put online, so that's what this bottom part marries up to, is their online prints from Thingiverse. I don't know if what they send out is the same exact size. I'll have to check that out, but if any of you guys end up purchasing it and have any problems, I will go as fast as I can to redesign this if it doesn't work. But just realize a lot of this is a work in progress, but I found it to be super clean, super nice, and I haven't seen anything else like it so far. On the other side of the wall, this is what I kind of have hidden over there. This used to encapsulate my shop vac right there. It had a hose that came up over it, went into here, and then from here went to whatever I was working on. I ended up making this myself, this cart. I put big old 4-inch casters on it so I could roll it around. The shop vac that it used to fit burned up. It was a cheapo, but you can put any bucket you want, and then you can cut out a lid. This lid here, I put plexiglass there, and then sealed this guy down to it. Use the Onefinity to cut that out. I keep this on the other side of the wall. The nice part about this, you put it before you get to your shop vac, and almost all the dust falls into here and doesn't go into your shop vac, so you don't have to keep emptying that out over and over and over again. I printed this guy out because, like I said earlier, these sizes don't mean a damn thing to these companies. They just do whatever they want. They create whatever the hell they want. So I created the right size to fit that 2.5-inch hose on the top and adapt it to this guy here, and plus it goes straight up, so figured I'd do two things at once. And with this guy here, this is called Dust Deputy. They sell them. I got the Chinese knockoff because at the time there was none left in stock, so I just grabbed this guy. It takes a long ass time to get here, but it all works. But I put this guy, so if you imagine that hose coming down, it would actually, this would be your input right here, or your dust from your dust source, and then your dust collector goes here. Realize that anytime you add something in the way between your dust collector and your dust source, you're going to be losing suction. No matter what it is, you're creating resistance. Even with one of these, even though it's not that bad, it is still creating resistance. I guess a good example of this is whenever you put in a dryer vent, I think they give you like 60 feet total. Well, if you put in a 90, they say subtract like 25. If you put in another 90, subtract another, and the 90 feet's the total, whatever it is, or 60 feet, whatever it is. And each time you put an impediment in there, it cuts down more and more. Well, if you put in that corrugated hose there, that cuts off a ton. So you want to put that at the very, very end of your runs. You don't want to add it more than you have to. It's very detrimental to getting the dust to where it needs to go. And having an extremely long run, even the flattest, nicest pipe ever, is still going to stop it. So try to make your runs as efficient as possible. But yeah, this is my dust cart. I'll kind of pan down so you can see it all. And this used to be where the dust collector sat. And since then it's burned up and the new one doesn't fit there, but I've not really needed it. But it was nice because I had it all in one, rolling around, and then had my little wands and stuff over here. And then the hose used to come out here. This guy fit over it. So then your attachment, and then the source one came from here right into there. So it was really nice and compact. So that's about all I had for you guys about dust collection. This is just a very, very general, basic for beginners just to think about. Hopefully this has helped you guys. This wasn't in depth and going crazy into all the mathematical calculations and how to do it the most efficiently. This was just get your feet wet, see what's there, what to look for, and which way you want to go. Because I know at first it's like, all right, well, what does everyone else buy? Let me go with that. Hopefully this has helped you guys a little bit. If you could, like, share, and subscribe. That means a ton. Just past 500. I'm very, very, very appreciative. Thank you guys so much. And in the next video, I'm going to go over the cable management that I do here and hopefully help you out with that so you guys don't end up pinching cables or losing steps or anything like that. So thanks again. See you later.